How it goes at YouTube? Tempest Panther here. Just making a video on this new release of the Final Fantasy VII for PlayStation 1, uh, being re-released for PlayStation 4. Um, I don't know how many of you guys have checked out the re-release that they had for it for PlayStation 3, I believe it was. Or yeah, of course it was. Yeah, the PlayStation 3 version of this was not very well done for a remake or a re-release. It was literally, it looked like it was just thrown back into a package, thrown into an emulator, and put on PlayStation 3. I wasn't very impressed with it. Now that they've come out with the re-release for PlayStation 4, I'm extremely excited. They did a great job on this. I've been playing around with it a little bit recently, just checking out the new features, the new trophy system, exactly what they've done with it, and decided to check out the new features. They do a shout out for the new remake. I'll show you that now. It looks incredible. Check it out. Now, a lot of people saw this already released on YouTube. This is the shorter
Long
version of the
ago,
trailer.
we looked upon a foreboding sky. The memory of the star that threatened all burns eternal in our hearts. In its wake came an age of silence. Yet with each fond remembrance, we knew those encountered were not forgotten. That someday we would see them again. Perhaps it was no more than wishful thinking. But after the long calm, there are now the beginnings of a stir. The reunion at hand may bring joy. It may bring fear. But let us embrace whatever it brings. For they are coming back. At last, the promise has been made.
Yeah, so looks pretty badass, must say. Graphics look phenomenal. Very, very, very excited to see this and try it out. I believe the release date is sitting around somewhere around January of next year. Um, Hopefully, it lasts that long. Yeah, so looks great. Definitely going to be checking it out. Give me 2 seconds here, and we will get into some gameplay. We're going to start a new game. So this is the new button layout. Sorry, just trying to find stuff here. Um, this is the new button layout for the PlayStation 4 version. This just goes to show you that they just completely skipped over the whole idea of a just a crappy emulated version, and they actually decided to go with a version that would work very effectively with the PlayStation 4. Um, I like the new scheme fairly well. They've put in the new features that are now very easily accessible. You can see down at the bottom there, it says 3 times speed, no encounter, and battle boosts. It gives you automatic health regen, automatic MP regen, and instant limit breaks. It's pretty cool. It even gives you the battle boot or the speed the time bar speed increase that you get for getting a limit break prior to your turn. Um, Even if you turn it on mid run, it reacts the exact same way as if you just earned your limit break. So it's fairly good for that. Um, I mean, that's basically active cheats for anybody who's played the game that's already fallen in love with the game and wants to do a quick run through. You can throw on your 3 times speed, no encounter, and battle boost all at the same time. Uh, just makes it so that like I said in my previous video, I'm not sure if the no encounter works for boss battles. I'm pretty sure it wouldn't. Doesn't make much sense considering the boss battles are a part of the storyline. I believe that's just for your roaming encounters. So it is fairly in depth with that and makes the game a little bit different. And you'll also notice that you can also move the camera around. I haven't tried that out too much recently, but it seems to be pretty cool. Um, Another one is switch. I'm not 100% sure if that just means switch in battle or something else. I imagine it would just be switch in battle because that used to be an option with triangle in combat. So we'll go through. We'll check out how everything plays with it and how everything interacts with it, and hopefully you enjoy it. I'm going to make this a bit of a walkthrough as well. I've Anybody who actually knows me knows that I fell in love with this game right away. I've played through the original version of it probably 27, 28 times, and I've logged well over 99 hours on each run through. It's just a phenomenal game. I love it. I'll even go through making golden chocobos or breeding golden chocobos later on in some of my later videos. Okay, so without any further ado, let's get right into the gameplay here. Also one of my favorite opening videos for any game. One thing I do wish that they had done with this, I know it would have been a little bit more difficult for them to do just with the initial programming of it. I would have liked to see voices inlaid in the re-release. I mean, adding in voice actors and voice overlays, it's not all that difficult. I'm actually starting up with video game programming myself and seeing how it's all done. And the way that the programming should have been laid out should have made it fairly easy to throw something like that in later on. Also, if there's anything wrong with this video's quality or sound quality, feel free to let me know. I can switch things around for you guys. Just say so in the comments, and I may even replace this video with a better video. This is my first walkthrough that I'm doing on my channel, so obviously there's going to be room to grow. Now I'm sure you're noticing how well they did with this remaster. Like, those graphics are phenomenal. They were great for phenomenal graphics originally, but they really outdid themselves with this high def remake or re-release. And it's only $15 for this game. Really worth good value for what you get. You get this. You also get a background for this game, or a theme for PlayStation 4 for this game. Custom theme, new button icons, new background. When you press up on your D-pad on the crossbar, gives you new stuff there, or a new background there, and new music for your home screen. Okay, so now that we're in, I'll let you guys know the 3 times speed doesn't generally work in the cutscenes, which is kind of cool in my opinion, just because the cutscenes are awesome. You want to start off, run up to each of these guys. You'll get 2 potions for it. Generally, you'll get those 2 potions in the fight anyways, but there is sometimes where you'll be able to get 4 potions out of it total. Okay, throw on some 3 times speed. Incoming boss fight. Okay, so in here, you can throw on 3 times speed. It'll actually speed this up. Throw on your limit break. Instant limit breaks. You notice my health is right back to full. And you still get all the experience for that. Here's your second potion. I'm gonna throw on some no encounter and 3 times speed. Gonna stick with it. This is obviously like the intro part. Everybody knows this. If you've played this game before, it's pretty standard. Just run through most of it. There's nothing really too crazy that you have to know. Oops. There we go. You notice the 3 times speed cuts out right here because it's a cutscene. And it'll do that every time you have a cutscene, just to keep the storyline intact for everyone. So let's get this going. Boom. Right up here. Now you can go down there and talk to Biggs, or sorry, Wedge, I believe it is. Or you can just run straight in here, get your conversation dealt with. And then you talk to Biggs. First door open, talk to Jesse, second door open. And then before you proceed down there, just make a quick right here, run in here, and you can get a Phoenix down. Alright, and back on the track. Talk to Jesse again. Hit your button, and down to the basement we go. Cloud's always been pretty cynical. Like, I love his character for that to a certain extent, but sometimes he just comes off as a straight asshole. Okay, we'll throw on some encounters here, just because it's getting a little boring. See, and there's no cutouts in this game either, and it's really nice for that. It's great. Like, I love how they came up with this. You don't get the oversized resolution, but it's still just amazing. Pick up your potion, and off you go. We're off to see the wizard. Actually, it's a scorpion, but okay. So convenient. So convenient. Okay, and now to test out the first one, we're going to do a quick save here. I like the way that they designed this too. Like, you actually go through and each save 1, save 2 gives you all your game slots. You can have so many different saves on this. Anything you want to try out differently and stuff like that. This run through, we're going to go through and do some of the trophies as well. So we're going to, the first one you would have got was the limit break trophy. The first time you do a limit break, obviously, it's their achievement system thing. So yeah, you get a trophy for that. Okay, so restore materia is always sitting right there for you. Okay, and here's the first one we'll try. No encounter, and we're going to go into a boss fight. I always love the foreshadowing of that part. Someone's in his mind, or he's got a split personality. Which is it? Yeah, and see, no encounter does not work to stop boss fights. Okay, so we're going to make this fairly easy. Now, those of you that have played this game will know that in this boss fight, there's one thing that you always want to keep in mind. Whenever the scorpion starts to shake, it's gonna pull its tail up. When you see it start shaking, stop attacking altogether, because if you continue attacking, it has a tail laser that will hit you for some serious damage. If you're playing through this using just the standard attack system and things like that, then it's gonna take a while to get through the boss fight. He does have fairly high health, like any standard boss. You want to stick to Thunder Magic with Cloud generally. It'll make it go through a lot quicker. Use your limit breaks as soon as you get them, as long as he's not shaking. Like I said, once he starts shaking, you'll see the scorpion tail is going to come up over his head. Any attack, physical or magic at that point, is going to automatically make him counterattack. And that attack doesn't count as one of the standard attacks either, so he'll stay in there. This is what I'm talking about. Now that he's got that up, Cloud tells you, hey, don't attack while its tail's up, or he's going to counterattack with that laser. Okay, so what you're going to do, you're just going to sit here and defend, heal up if you want to. It's completely up to you. Another trick that you can always throw in there too is, if you want, keep one guy healing himself, preferably Cloud, because his limit break tends to do a little bit more damage to this boss. But you can sit there and heal as well as attack that character with your other character. It will boost your limit break a little bit faster. It's a kind of a odd tactic to use, but I mean, you're not attacking the guy anyways, and your attacks are going to do less than that tail laser attack. Okay, and I'm going to speed this up just so we can get through the boss fight a little bit quicker. Go. And again, to do that, you just click down the left joystick, and it'll throw in the 3x speed. The no encounter is both joysticks at the same time, and the right joystick is your battle boost, which gives you instant health increase, or instant health replenishment, instant MP replenishment, and instant limit breaks. Also gives you a boost to your ATB. And we're gonna cheat this one up a little bit. Now you can save again if you want. Doesn't really matter. You want to get out of here with as much time as possible still. And also you can choose whether or not to save Jesse. I usually do. I don't see very much of an impact later on, other than conversations that you'll have later on with Jesse. It'll have a couple new lines of dialogue, and that's about it. Also, I believe Tifa remembers that you saved Jesse as well. You already got that. If you didn't get that, go back and get it again. Okay, so you want to hit Jesse first, then Biggs. And like, look at that. How nice is that? Especially compared to the PlayStation 3 remake that they did. The graphics are very, very nicely done. Or the HD upgrade was very nicely done. I love that part. Wedge is awesome. Now, for the trophy walkthrough, one of the trophies in this is to take Barrett on the date in the Golden Saucer. I know some people are taboo with that, some people aren't. I don't really care, but it's funny. Needless to say, it's funny, and it's a trophy. So what we're going to do, we're going to follow a specific line of choices. He's actually the hardest character to get to go with you on that date, next to Yuffie. First thing you need to make sure you do in this is buy a flower from Eris. Now, you're not going to give it to Tifa, you're going to give it to Marlene. That'll be coming up later on in the gameplay, maybe even part of my next walkthrough. I always usually go with, or you're going to have to go with nothing hay to start off with. Then don't see many flowers around here. She's going to offer to sell one to you. Obviously, you need to buy one if you're going to give it to Marlene. And this will actually start off your progression towards Barrett actually liking you as a person enough to go out with you on a date at the Golden Saucer. Okay, so once you're done that, we're just going to run down here. And you can stop and talk to all these characters if you want, or try to chase down those guys to talk to them. I'm just going to run through, make sure you pick up your potion, and run down. And now the iconic combat scene. Now you'll notice that I have the no encounter on, and it'll still throw me into a battle with these guys regardless of what I do. So we're going to finish this off nice and quick. Oh, and if you speed it up, obviously it automatically throws you into a fight because you're being an indecisive little bitch. Guys. That's the only way you can get away with not getting into a battle here, is running away. Which is completely okay if you choose to do that, that's fine. Cutscene. This one's a little bit blurrier, but I mean it's still just very, very nicely rendered into high def. Very nicely done. And it actually makes me very happy that I'm still a Square fan, seeing how they can actually do this. You'll notice a lot of the main characters now have mouths. Like that was one of the biggest things that threw me off in the previous game or previous versions of this game is nobody had a mouth. Jesse, Biggs, and Wedge still don't have a mouth, but you can see there Barrett has one, Cloud will have one, Tifa has a mouth now. It's pretty cool. I like it. Something little that not many people would notice. Let's speed this one up. He did it! He did the hero stance! How crazy would it be if that was actually why they all did that in the movies? Like, the superhero entrance, the fall and land in the iconic pose, breaking the ground below them. So they didn't do the greatest job with the mouths, because you'll notice, Wedge right there, his mouth is actually jumping in and out of the scene. Which is probably why those guys, they didn't really care too much about how it worked with these guys, but the main characters, you'll notice you can even see the faint little mouth on Cloud from this distance. Oh, see, you can't even run 3 times through this because it's specific storyline dialogue. It's specific storyline dialogue. They want you to be able to read it. Okay, so you just run out the screen. When you come in here, you have the option to talk to all these guys, interact with people, and this is actually another part of the Barrett storyline for getting him to go on a date with you at Golden Saucer, which again is a trophy in this. So you wait for everybody to get into their spots. I always like talking to this dude. He's cool. This car is his home. And I always like the little reaction you get out of Barrett from this one. Oh, I didn't mean to go in there. Yeah, you're stuck in this car, so getting over to Jesse tends to be a little trickier, but that's who you want to speak to, not Wedge. Also, I tend to try to be nice to Wedge here. It's not necessary. It's not really going to do anything but change the way he speaks to Cloud and the way he looks at Cloud. Later on, you can have him look up to Cloud for quite a bit before, well, later things that happen in the storyline. Oh, there we go. So now, with this, trying to get this trophy, what you want to do is you go in and talk to Jesse throughout this. It's a little bit of a information system on the train and where it goes and stuff like that. You can skip through this. This is optional, but if you want to get that trophy, you do have to do this. The steps to get Barrett to go out on a date with you are very specific. As I said, he is the hardest guy to get or hardest character to get on that date, which is why they made it into a trophy. Try to get through this fairly quickly for you guys. Goes over how that's a little bit of foreshadowing for you guys, letting you know that there's ID checkpoints and stuff like that. And coming up next, she's gonna ask you if you want or she's gonna let you know that she makes the IDs herself. And here you go. She'll make one just specially for you. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna say looking forward to it. Okay, and it's again just it raises your affinity rating with the other characters, or with Barrett, allowing you to be able to go and take him on that date. Little humanity being shown by Cloud there. I love that line. It's because of that fucking pizza. And I love how this actually like foreshadows what's happening with the world today, like global warming and stuff like that, pulling all the fossil fuels out of the earth. That's like the life stream, the Mako energy that they're pulling out, destroying the earth by using it. Exactly what's happening right now, right? So pretty smart on their part. I like that. Guess more politicians should have played Final Fantasy VII. There you go. And the 3x speed kicks back in. Okay, so what you want to do, you go over there, talk to Barry. Now you have an option here. You can go and explore around a little bit, check out the graveyard back here. You can't really do too much with it yet because you don't have access to the trains that move things around, but cool little area to check out. Talking to these guys is pretty good because they actually change what they say throughout the storyline leading up to the end of the first disc, and it's kind of like a love story that's going on in the background while everything else is happening. And you'll notice it as you go on, things progress between them. And everybody you talk to in here will have their own little piece of thing to say. It's pretty cool. And each different thing you do through the storyline as well, the people you can interact with will say different things, and you can do things like this where it'll give you extra little side story clippets on how your actions are causing different things in other people's lives around the game. It's a really cool dynamic that I think brought in a lot of what people loved about this game. We're going to save up here. Yeah, I love that with this game too, being able to change out the colors in the background. If you want to know how to do that, you go into your configure, your Windows colors, and then you can change around the RGB on it. Make it all different any way you want it. I always like making a little red meteor background. That's just my thing. If you switch your cursor between initial and memory, how's it going, Jason? Yeah, so if you switch between initial and memory, you can make it so in your combat menu, as you're fighting, it'll either start off at attack every time, or it'll stay at whatever you select. It's really good for later on. I prefer to put it to memory myself for later on battles when you get into using summons and magic on specific characters or specific enemies that have elemental weaknesses and things like that. Really, really good way to do it. Your ATB, this sets it so that when you're in a battle with an enemy, you'll notice at the beginning there how the enemy were attacking me even though I wasn't doing anything. That's because it's on recommended. So for certain battles, like boss battles, it'll set it to wait. On normal battles, it'll keep it inactive. It really all depends on what kind of difficulty you're looking at playing with. If you set it to wait, all your battles will make it so that it waits for you to input your command before any of the ATBs continue moving on. It gives you a little bit more time to play with it and get potions out and things like that. If you set it to active, it makes it a little bit more difficult for you, so you actually have to rush to get through and do everything. Otherwise, your enemy's going to sit there and continuously attack you while you're taking your time. I'm just going to leave it on recommended for this walkthrough just so you can see how it works between the two different styles. Your battle message, that's the little pop-ups. Your field message is how fast your dialogue pops up. So we're going to speed that up a little bit just to make the video go by a little bit faster. And we're going to speed up the battle speed a bit as well. That's also a little bit of a difficulty thing for you. It's all your own personal preference at that point. And your camera angle, this is in battle. I always put it on auto. Fixed will just keep it in one direction. Every battle will have the same layout, really. With auto, it'll switch it around for you, depending on what kind of enemy you're fighting. And then your magic order. I usually keep it in this order, just for speed during battles. Great thing to have. Restore at the beginning. Your attack in the middle, that way if you're going up against elementals again, you can use your attack magic fairly quickly. And your indirect magic is your status effect magic. Okay, so that's good. If you want later on, we'll go through all the equip and stuff. The game really plays it through for you, so it'll show you what you can use and what not to. As I go through, I'll also show you my preference of materia setup and how to lay everything out. So for this next part, we're going to be going for that Barrett trophy. So what you're going to do is you're going to avoid talking to Tifa as much as possible. And then when later on she's going to ask you about a promise you made her, and just keep playing it off like you don't remember what the promise is. With this, I'm just going to say, yeah. That way it kind of pushes her away from you because she's very easy to take on that date. She's the second easiest next to Eris. Eris is who it was designed for, but in making it more fun to play the game, they made it so you could compete for other ones. And we're just going to keep her name the same. And she notices the flowers. Now, you're going to be that dick and say, screw you, Tifa, and give the flower to Marlene. This, again, raises your affinity with Barrett, makes him like you a little bit more. Okay, so now you can go around and talk to these guys if you want. They ask you to do different things. It just changes their reactions on how they interact with you. I usually try to be nice to them just because it gives you a little bit more of a broader story as you go through the gameplay. not to mention, being closer with Barrett's team is obviously going to make the affinity run a little bit better. Then you go to leave, Barrett comes in raging. And see, there's his affinity going up for you from using the flower. It's pretty straightforward, but you have to make sure you follow these steps. If you vary at all, there's a chance that you could lose the ability to take him on that date and unlock that trophy. So again, avoid talking to Tifa as much as possible for this. If you do go through and talk to Tifa, you get the option to go and have drinks with her and things like that. And she'll go through and talk to you and get closer. Bragging about being a soldier. I love that as a plot twist as well. Later on in the game, you'll notice there's a couple storyline twists that are right out of left field. I mean, that's how this became such a big franchise, and how they were able to make 2 sequel games out of this, or a prequel and a sequel game out of this, and a movie. It's just a phenomenal story, and it's very, very in depth. That's another big thing that everybody, I think, loved about this game. Then we're going to avoid talking to Tifa again, and this is the next step for going through with Barrett. Sorry, 1 second here. I just want to make sure I pull up these steps for you, so you're getting exactly what you want. Okay. Alright, so yes, you continue talking to Tifa, and you tell her that you forgot the promise. And then we go through this cutscene. But this cutscene, oddly enough, it allows you to go through and use your 3x speed to jump through it a little bit quicker. I tend to like it that way. With this new release of the game, having that option there is just phenomenal. I mean, like I said, I've beat this game easily close to 30 times and had over 99 hours on each game, and that's just from storyline and backstory or side quests and stuff like that. It really, you could play through this game in, I would say, probably 3 days and beat it without doing all the side quests, but the side quests are part of what makes this game amazing too. There's a lot of different really in-depth games you'll see later on with chocobo breeding and racing and things like that as well. So yeah, for that last one there, that last interaction, she's gonna ask you basically if you forgot about a promise. You can either say, how can you say that, which will increase your affinity with Tifa. But if you really want to get Barrett, you want to try to avoid increasing your affinity with her and say sorry instead. I kind of jumped through that one quickly by accident. But after that, you'll have a few more interactions that'll decrease your affinity with Tifa and allow you to get closer with Barret. The next interaction isn't until after all this. You're gonna go to bed and talk to Tifa in the morning. It's a pretty dick move on Cloud's part, fucking laughing at him for that. He knows they're down on their luck and living in the slums, so he's being a jerk about it, but Tifa definitely wants to keep him around. At this point, he knows who Tifa is, but he doesn't quite remember who she is earlier on. Like you saw back there, they had that cutscene to show you a little bit of their history, but at the same time, he's lost a lot of his memories from his training as a soldier, or other things, as you'll see later on. So you're just going to avoid talking to her at all. Yeah, you're going to come over here. You can explain it to her. Actually, you're going to go back and talk to her again just so you can lower that affinity a little bit more. And then you go through your materia tutorial. Now you can go through this yourself. Just because this is a walkthrough, I'm not going to make it go too much longer. We're already almost at the quarter of an hour, 3/4 of an hour point now. So, yeah, we're just going to hit circle and skip through all of this. Oh, so with this one, unfortunately, in the original version, you could just drop out of this right away by hitting circle. Doesn't seem to do that. So I guess we're stuck going through it. And your 3 times speed doesn't work on this either. We're going to turn that off. Basically what he's saying is you go through and you can equip things to your weapons, slot in your different magics and stuff like that. The joined slots like that, if you get stuff like elemental, or the materia that's called element or elemental, you can actually go and slot in like cure, or you can slot in your lightning magic, any of your elemental magic, and it'll affix that element to your weapon. So it'll increase the damage, it'll allow you to do more damage to elemental enemies that are weak against different things. And it goes through and tells you about all the different statuses that it has on there. Because as you go through, once you have things slotted on there, it'll tell you that different weapons have different speeds at which it increases, or none at all, or no increase at all to your AP, which is what levels up your materia. Once you get a master materia, it'll actually create a second materia for you to use that's at the beginning level, and you'll have the master materia. And you'll see down there it has the different abilities you get as it levels up. And again, on the equip effect, this is what it's going to do to your status. So you always want to keep that in mind as well when you're using different materia that increases and decreases your strength and magic, max HP and max MP. You want to stack those properly with your materia in order to be able to counteract your summons, decrease your max health, things like that. Different magic materia, magic-based attack materia will always drop your max HP and increase your max MP. Status effect materia will do different things as you'll notice as we go through these walkthroughs. And as you can see, it is very complicated, so Barret doesn't even want to deal with it. He just says, here you go, you can equip these. Okay, so when you come up that, if you really want to increase your stuff with Barrett, you can also go talk to Tifa there. But say that when she asks you how you slept, you just say that Barrett's snoring kept you awake. Okay, so for the last little bit of this portion, Tifa mentioned that the guy upstairs in the shop has something for you. You can also go into this shop. He has a upgraded weapon for Barrett, which you definitely want to get. The assault bangles, which you want to get for each of your characters. You can get grenades if you want. They are fairly effective. And then you can also go and sell things if you want. You don't really have much to sell right now. Once you switch out your bangles and stuff like that, if you have anything that's already equipped, then you can sell that. Obviously, you can sell your materia there. There's actually another shop in here that you go to buy materia. Oops. Okay, so we're going to go in here, and we're going to switch out some stuff. Yeah, see, we have some bronze bangles, so we'll go back and sell those as well. A little quick trick, when you're going through and changing these things out, you just have to hit R1, L1, and it'll switch between the characters. And you'll notice each one has different sets of slots for your materia. Your growth is how fast it'll grow your materia level-wise, or if it won't grow it at all. And then you'll see below it shows your status changes depending on what weapon you're equipping. With red obviously being a decrease and green being an increase. Okay, so you can also check what you have on here, and as you're set up for what you're going to be doing, you can arrange your materia differently. So we're going to go back to Cloud. Now, one trick that I always recommend at the very beginning here is equip all your materia to Cloud. With this next section, you're going to end up losing the ability to use Tifa and Barrett. So before your final boss battle, make sure you always take off all your materia from Tifa and Barrett, anything that you want to use. You will get to use them later on, obviously, but that's just always a good practice to do right off the bat. Okay, and we're going to make our way up here, and this is a little fun part. That's one section. This guy always makes fun of Cloud for being old, which I think is hilarious. Because if you actually look in the book for the actual game book for the first one, or the original release of this, you'll notice that Cloud is actually only 18, and this kid in the shop is constantly calling him old man. Alright, so what you want to do here is go into this door here, and you get to talk to a talking treasure chest. Okay, and it'll tell you how to use your button. And this is replacing the original one where you hit all four bumpers, start and select. Now you can just go to quit in the main menu to restart your game. I love that. Huh? Finger? What the hell? Random finger that's talking to you that floats above your head. And somehow Cloud breaks the fourth wall and notices it. And it's just basically to tell you where you are on the map, just in case you lose track of yourself. Because some of the maps do get pretty complex, but it'll also show you where exits are into different areas, or into different maps around you using those little red arrows. And as it shows, red triangles mark exits, green are ladders, and you just hit your touchpad to have that pop up. Okay, now you get an all materia. All materias allow you to use any of your magics on all enemies or all allies. So if you equip it with a all, say all cure, you can cure all allies at the same time, or you can even go and use cure on all the enemies against you. Very, very effective. Most people don't think about it, but on undead enemies, cure kills the undead. Now you can kill multiple ghosts or multiple undead characters at once. Also, you can use elemental attacks on all characters or all enemies at one time. Different status effects like reflect and things like that. Very, very effective materia to have. Ethers are also a very, very good thing to have. They can sometimes be somewhat hard to come by until later on in the game. And always save at every possible point. I recommend too, if you don't plan on doing multiple playthroughs, make multiple saves. Because if you do something in the game and you make a mistake, you can go back to a previous save. Very, very good idea. Make sure you don't have anything screw up on you. A little instruction on how limit breaks work. Enemy beats on you, limit gauge increases. You get your limit break, wail on the enemy with some killer attacks. Or you just cheat and use battle boost. And battle barrier, your battle barriers can also be used with all. If you use that with all materia, it works on all of your characters. And you can go through all this stuff. Really, you'll see how it all works as we go through. Elementals, how some enemies are weak against other elements. Say a fire bomb or one of the bombs. You go up against a bomb, use ice on it. It's a fire element, right? Earth enemies are weak against water, stuff like that. Statuses, how different statuses affect you. You'll see that as we go through. Gauges, meaning your health gauges, your MP gauge, and your limit break. You'll see that as we go through as well. Escape, very simple. Hold down R2, L2, and you'll run away from a battle. There's a lot of boss battles that you can't run away from. Actually, I think all the boss battles you're not able to run away from them, but change and defend. You can change characters, like switch between your different characters and defend while you're in combat, using the left and right D-pad, or left and right on the D-pad. Numbers on the screen, you'll see pop-ups of how much damage you're doing, things like that. Your active or your attack time bar, which is the little thing below your limit break that it fills up to show you that it's your attack. Other than that, help, you can get through the start menu, and all this stuff will be in the help menu as well. Now we're going to go back here. Tents are also very key if you haven't played the game. Tents are used to restore all your health and magic at the same time. And remove all status abilities. Basically, it's like using Mega Elixir. Cures all status ailments, everything, gives you a clean sweep, and you start off full health, full magic. And unlike Final Fantasy IX, you don't have to worry about being bitten by sharks. You don't have to be bitten by. Don't have to worry about being bitten by snakes when you're in a tent. That was one thing that they had in that game that really confused the hell out of me. You're in a tent, zip it up, keep it closed. You don't have to worry about snakes. That's the whole point of using a tent, but that will give you status effects. And this is where you go to buy materia in the very beginning. It's good to grab a lightning, as we don't have one of those. Oh, we do have one of those, sorry. We don't have a fire. And antidotes are definitely good to have because poison sucks. So we're going to go and we're going to sell that extra lightning. Okay, so you can get fire materia, but I screwed up there. Oops. Okay, and there's other, you can talk to all these guys and it'll give you a little bit of backstory. But that is going to be it. We're at the 1 hour mark. This is the first part of the walkthrough. Going into the next fight, we will be looking at the next attack on one of the reactors, and we will be going through another boss battle and how to continue on with if we have time in that video, we may be continuing on with how to get Barrett's affinity level up so that you can get that next trophy. Until then, enjoy this game, enjoy gaming in general, and have a good one. This is Tempest Panther out. Blessed be.